All right, guys, we're going to get started. I'm going to just stare at you guys the whole time, obviously, since there's nobody else. Is this your first time? I didn't see you last time. Okay, awesome, man. Welcome. This is, I don't know if you guys are aware or not, I'm sure you signed a contract or some type of agreement about the program. In there, it talks about all kinds of things, what the program is about, what we guys expect from you, what you're allowed and not allowed to do, a waiver for media, so that's why this guy's here. He gets content from me on other stuff, but he's coming in to get content for us on what we're doing here with this program, because we do want to grow it, if that makes sense, as a brand. There's a schedule of speakers that are usually lined up, all the way from, let's see, let me look at it, to this day, meaning the Rope Youth staff, where we just tell you about how the next year is going to play out, or the next, I don't know what you guys use, 12 weeks or 8 weeks or something like that. Usually they have a judge come in, talk about the judicial system. FBI comes in, talks about the cost of crime. Midland Memorial Hospital is a partner program. They talked about drugs and alcohol, mental health, anxiety, and depression. The sheriff comes in, talks about, that's usually the jail tour. I don't know if you guys went last week. Did you guys go last week to that jail tour? Was that the first time you did that jail tour? Yeah. Did you guys, was it co-gender, I guess? Like both? Or were you on separate?
No, we went together.
Oh, wow, okay. And then the mayor comes in, talks about citizenship in the community. You guys heard that last time. Maybe she didn't. You heard that last time when we had the mayor up there on the YouTube video? Remember when we did the whole notes deal? The YMCA comes in, talks about health and wellness. Somebody comes in, talks about career planning. And then the FBI comes in again about safe online surfing, cyberbullying, which has become incredibly huge over the last few years. A Dr. Whitney Gregg, it looks like it says, come in here, from the Midland Health Department, talks about public health awareness. And then the very last one, it looks like week 12, it says, so it's a 12-week program. There's a motivational speaker and then a graduation for you guys. That's usually the framework that you guys were presented. We're going to integrate some new things, so you were in on it when we took notes. And we'll talk about that today. I sort of got in trouble for giving you guys money, probably mainly for sending you guys Cash App, because of the dynamic. There can't be what they call a transaction between an adult and a juvenile in this particular situation because of why you guys are here, if that makes sense. And I was immediately, first off, just kind of like, oh, I wonder why. And I just went to go do some research, found some things out as to why that could be a problem. But I wanted us, in a sense, to uncover that for ourselves because I don't know about you, but there are times where just like that, I've done something and didn't know it was against policy, against the law, against what the program would require, stuff like that. And it doesn't mean that it negates the consequences, meaning that just because I didn't know, I can't say, well, I didn't know, you shouldn't punish me, or you shouldn't, because that's not how the real world works. There's been times where I did break the law unknowingly, and luckily the person had grace. I think I shared it the first time I was here when I got pulled over. I had a couple joints in my pocket. I walked into the jail facility, and as they were searching me, they pulled it out, and that was a felony. Well, I didn't know. And I didn't know that I had them in my pocket. So it was a similar situation. Now, that was pretty extreme versus what we did a couple weeks ago. But it didn't keep me from the consequences. If they wanted to, they could have definitely gave me a felony. But I talked to the officer, the story that I shared, if he could go talk to the DA, and then they dropped him. Now, that's not going to happen all the time, right? So it's very important to be aware of policies, law, things like that. And I was sharing with these guys, this ecosystem, I used to say this all the time when I was 13, 14, 15, is, well, I didn't vote on all this stuff. I didn't have a say-so on all these economic policies or laws or all these things that happen. That are in play. I'm just born into this system, and that's what it felt like. So a huge part of my life was I felt like a victim to the system. Like, well, how am I supposed to know all these things? And all they have to do on their end, once they issue a law or publish a law is put it into this law book or something, and then you as the public or we as the public, we're just supposed to know. And I'm like, well, how many laws are in existence? How am I going to know all the laws, right? But then it took me down a path of, well, I need to learn as much as I need to learn then if I'm going to be a part of this system. So what that looked like is in context, right? So in context, if I drive a vehicle, well, what are the laws when I get a vehicle? Insurance, your tag must be current, don't drive with open container, like all those things like that, right? Okay. And now if I go into Midland College, what are the laws about going into Midland College? Or what are the policies, right? Now you go into policies, meaning companies have policies, right? Schools have policies. Now they may not be law, meaning you're breaking the law, but they have their own policies, whether it's have your phones out, bring drugs in, of course. Well, that's breaking the law, but maybe have your, I went to a school where the guys couldn't have their hair long. Is that still in existence? Yeah, in Greenwood. Oh, wow. That's crazy. So also, even with that, personal opinion, your personal opinion about it really doesn't matter, right? Or does it? And that's what we're going to do today. So for me, I had to go look up. Well, I like to argue. My best friend's an attorney, and I was going to be an attorney when I got out of high school. So I love to be argumentative and debate and then get down to what they call, well, it's up to interpretation. What does that really mean? Like, prove it. And that's how I like to do what they call burden of proof. Well, prove it to me that that's a blah, 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 right? So when I got the phone call, I'm like, okay, I just accepted it because this isn't my program. And we're partnered with other people, other organizations, and they have their own policies. And it goes against their policy. It doesn't matter what I think about what was happening. I still have to conform, kind of like when you go to school, when you go work for somebody, things like that. There are things that you're going to have to do that you may not want to do or have a different perception of or opinion of just to either participate in the organization or the program or to even get a paycheck. You know, there are times where I went to, had certain jobs where I had to dress a certain way. And if I didn't, I lost the job. What was I going to do, right? Either conform, follow the policies or follow the law, or go get another job, right? So what we're going to do today is, on a similar note, I can't give out money anymore. I learned that. But we're going to still try to figure out what else can we do? How else can we incentivize you? So I'm going to work that through with you guys. And luckily, it's only 3 of you because I'm going to have a program at the end where there are times where you get to be like what they call a founding member. You're going to determine how we move forward with the program. And we may use an alias that you want to use to say, I don't know, K-pop XYZ, whatever your handle may want to be, right? Founding member. And they're the ones that came up with this policy. We're going to create, in a sense, our own framework so that we can still incentivize you guys. And that could look like a lot of things. Could it be a gift at the end of the class where it's like a silly gift? Like I brought some silly gifts. This little thing. This thing's ugly, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, I can give those out. And so we're going to uncover that, right? And then this little thing, for me, like represents being fly. Look at this, hold on. Got this from my son. You know, anyway, just so you can play with. So it bounces everywhere. Anyway. But then also it could look like, well, what if we gave you guys points for certain things? One of the things that I gave out money for was you guys not taking notes, and it wasn't planned, but it was for paying attention. When you got a right answer, hey, here you go. Because for me, what I learned in life is that paying attention and taking notes, I had to take notes because there was a disconnect in the way that I learned. I think we talked about that too. When I would read things, I had to read it 15, 20 times. And I would just get frustrated and I would give up on learning. So I had to learn to highlight, underline, write notes next to it, literally take notes. And most of the time it was just writing down what the person just said, right? So I learned, though, that doing those things pays off. Now, most of the time they don't pay literally. They pay off in some other form or fashion, right? If you learn like in school and you pay attention throughout the semester, you take a final exam, right? Sometimes that final exam determines, doesn't matter how you do in your homework and things like that, but the final exam determines if you go to the next grade or you pass, right? And then there's a final test. What is it? This for you guys now? For us, it was toss. What is it now? Star? Oh, is it still a star? Okay. What do you guys think about the star test?
I don't think we should take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, college.
For sure. Why do you think that?
Well, like colleges don't look at your STAR test scores.
Okay. How do you get into college?
With your AP exams,
Okay.
your finals,
Okay.
GPA.
Why do you think they do give star tests then?
It's for the money.
Okay.
Yeah, for the state.
I gotcha. So there's probably some type of other stuff going on.
Corruption.
Yeah, I gotcha. You seem educated or something, man. Is it people around you kind of have a open opinion about stuff going on? Yeah. Public education is under a lot of scrutiny, especially over the last few years. But I won't express some of those opinions. But I get it, right? So it's like, okay, well, do you still take them? Sure, right? What are you going to do? Not take them? And then what, right? Especially over COVID, a lot of people went to homeschooling. And then now there's a lot of private schools opening up. And they have their own way of doing things, right? Stuff like that. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to show a video about what is a transaction. So for me, let me ask you guys, do you know what a transaction is?
Interaction, kind of person.
Okay. You don't know a transaction? You want to have a go at it? What is a transaction?
Like making
Making a deal, for sure, right? There's terms, what they call terms. I give you an incentive, terms on if you do this, then I'll do this, right? And so that's why I looked at it, because I'm like, well, I never said that I'm going to give them money to take notes. I just gave it as a reward, as an incentive, right? But there's levels to transactions. There's levels to all kinds of things, right? And it looks a certain way. There's what they call internal transactions. You'll hear about it here. There's what they call external transactions. There's times where no money is exchanged, but it's a transaction because value is exchanged, right? And so what we're going to do is we're going to watch this video. You're going to hopefully pay attention. And then we're going to talk about, do you think that what I did was a transaction? And then how can we, in a sense, I don't want to say bypass it, but how can we be creative so that we can still keep the dynamic of rewarding you guys for paying attention and create good habits? So again, it could be gifts. It could be all kinds of things, and we're going to discuss those things. The other speakers that I'm going to line up, and I'm going to say this because we've already talked about it as a program, and we talked about it with the adults in the room, is this is going to be open to the public. So I'm brought in particularly when an organization wants to grow. I shared that when I was here a couple weeks ago about how organizations bring me in, or business owners bring me in to grow their sales or grow their revenue or grow their organizations. So all the way from, I've made guys from $200,000 a month to $300,000, $80,000 to $100,000, $15,000 and $50,000, or small groups where there was only 10 to 15 people showing up, and then 1,000 people show up. And I'm usually brought in to, okay, how do we do that? How do we grow the program to make the impact that we really want to have? So part of that is on top of what I shared with you, what they have lined up with the FBI, Midland Memorial Hospital, things like that. I started a podcast a few years ago where I met probably, I wish I was exaggerating, but I'm not, probably 10,000 students in the Permian Basin, all the way from Big Spring to Fort Stockton to La Mesa, things like that. And I met a lot of music artists or hip-hop artists or artists in general, meaning people who want to be YouTubers, streamers, content creators, things like that. So the podcast that I started was I began to interview people who were on this journey. And our first season, you guys know, I'm going to just name some names, if you know them or know them, but do you guys know who like Sauce Walker is and all those guys from Houston, TSF? Okay, so I interviewed this 14-year-old. He had just dropped his first visual, and I just dropped his first song. And I got them connected with TSF, and within 2 weeks, he got signed to TSF, and he's been signed to TSF for the last 4 years. Now he's 18, 19. He's been dropping projects. He doesn't work. This is all he does. He creates music. He lives right here in Midland. There's other people that during that first season, they're full-time YouTube creators. They have agents now. They get called to go do shows. Maybe they're, background actors or supporting actors. They've shot music videos, things like that. I got contacts with, there's a famous producer. Now he's a famous producer, but he wasn't. He's from Midland. I met him when he was 15. Now he's 28. He lives in Austin, but he records all the way from Tuesday to Lil Boozy to, I don't even know, all these names that I'm not even really aware of. And then I've met people who have created huge platforms or marketing firms through DJs. And so they have created a podcast where they interview famous DJs, stuff like that. And then hopefully, I'm trying to talk Joel into it. So Joel has shot music videos for some famous rappers as well. And they're going to come in and they're going to teach you, well, how do I do that? How do I be a content creator? How do I be a music producer? How do I shoot videographers for music producers, videos for music producers? How do I create a marketing firm? One of the guys that I'm bringing in, he's already agreed. He's created a marketing machine, meaning business owners hire him. He's 20, 24, 25. Business owners hire him, they bring him in, and to market or brand their business, advertise their business, but he does it in a very unique way. He brings DJs down that are either from Dallas, El Paso, Lubbock, things like that, and then he incorporates this event, what they call pop-ups now. It's infamous now. These pop-up events where he brings these famous DJs, and then it brings a crowd with it. But he's been able to create a business out of it. So I'm going to bring people like that in as well. And then maybe somebody to talk about how they become an executive in a certain corporation, things like that. So all that to say, even if this program ends for you guys, it doesn't mean it has to end, meaning you're still welcome to come back and participate in the program with those added speakers or anything else. So hopefully we get to build it, and this is my plan, to build it to a certain extent to where you want to come back and that you actually learn something. The point of me the 2 weeks ago in giving you guys some money for taking notes and paying attention was to incentivize learning, because learning has become boring today. It's like, what's the point? Kind of like you said, there's so much bureaucracy behind it. Maybe there's corruption behind it. It doesn't make sense, like the world that you're growing up in versus the world that your parents grew up in, things like that. So how do I still take advantage of learning? Because just because you don't learn a certain way doesn't mean you should stop learning. That's what I learned. I wasn't good scholastically or academically, but I loved to learn. They just give me something else to learn. I just didn't want to learn what they had going on or what they were teaching me. And that's kind of what I talked about 2 weeks ago with my story. I probably at this point have read, 1,500 books, things like that. I love learning about why things work. Why is this considered a transaction? I went on a deep dive over the last day or so about what does it look like, why does it look like, what's the reason behind it, things like that. Because I want to be equipped. I want to be able to have certain conversations with people where I don't look, I don't want to say it like this, but where I don't look dumb, but where I'm educated and aware of stuff, where I don't make the mistake again and I put myself in a compromising situation. So we're going to watch this video. If you want to take notes, there's pen and paper, or pencil and paper up there. But she's going to talk about what a transaction is, and then we're going to, do I turn it up here? Oh, here we go. Let's see.
Crack the crypto code. What is a transaction? If you've ever bought something, or even just transferred money, you've been part of a transaction. But what exactly is a transaction? Let's break it down. A transaction is essentially an agreement between two parties to exchange something of value. This could be goods, services, or even financial assets, all in return for money or another form of payment. Imagine you're at a store and you buy a new phone. You hand over your money and the store gives you the phone. This is a classic example of a transaction. Here, you're the buyer, the store is the seller, and the phone is the good being exchanged for money. In business, transactions can get a bit more complex. There are different types, such as external and internal transactions. External transactions are those between two separate entities, like a customer buying a product from a store or a business purchasing equipment from a supplier. Internal transactions, on the other hand, happen within an organization. For example, when an employee receives their salary or when one department gives office supplies to another, these are internal transactions because they involve financial activities within the same company. Now let's talk about cash and non-cash transactions. Cash transactions involve the exchange of money, whether it's physical cash, a debit card, or a check. For instance, if you buy a coffee and pay with your debit card, that's a cash transaction. Non-cash transactions are a bit different. These are financial activities that don't involve the exchange of cash. An example would be a company taking over a loan from another company in exchange for an asset like shares. Credit transactions are another type. Here, goods or services are provided now, but the payment is made later. Think of buying a bed on a payment plan, where you pay monthly installments over 18 months. In accounting, transactions are recorded differently depending on the method used. Accrual accounting records transactions as soon as they are finalized, regardless of when the payment is made. Cash accounting, however, records transactions only when the money is actually received or paid out. In economic terms, a transaction occurs when something of economic value is provided by one party to another. This can include goods, services, income, and financial assets. These transactions are crucial for economic statistics and are recorded in balance of payment statements. So whether you're buying a phone, a business is purchasing supplies, or a company is exchanging financial assets, it all boils down to one thing. A transaction is about exchanging value between two parties. Understanding these different types and how they work can help you navigate the world of finance and business more effectively.
Okay, so with the transaction that you guys heard about, what's a transaction? What did you guys get from it? What's a transaction? Yeah, gotcha.
Transaction is the agreement between two parties to exchange something of value.
Exactly. Okay, perfect. As simple as, right? Meaning you have something that I want and I'm going to pay for it, or I have something that you want and you're going to pay for it, and then it's done. And then there's levels of it, what he talked about, the internal transaction. If I internally give somebody pencils or papers and stuff like that, now inside there's no money, non-cash, right, transaction, as she said it up there. There's no money exchange, but there's still an exchange of value, right? Why do you think that's a problem with the situation that we're in? Why do you think the organization that bring you guys here might have a policy against that? Yeah, why it might have a policy against a transaction between us and you? Do what? Oh yeah, they could go buy drugs, right? That's a real thing. What else? Why do you think it's an issue?
I mean, we're minors, but like if you look at it the same way, like you work for a company, you're still a minor. I mean, we would have to sign an agreement.
You would have to sign an agreement? Sure, both of us. Yeah, so right, even in a transaction, it says an agreement must be there. But you're saying to receive it? Yeah. No, but that's true. But why would it be an issue for the organization that brought you guys in? And you're hitting it, man. There's not a trick question. Like I'm uncovering this with you guys. You said you're a minor, no parents involved, and yet here is an adult transacting with you guys without the consent of the parent. Does that make sense? So, could you see how that could be a problem? Why do you think that's a problem? You don't know where the money's going. The parent doesn't know where the money's going. The parent is unaware of it. Doesn't know where the money came from. You could not tell your parents and go do something, and then it puts you in a worse situation or in a compromising situation. And then here's a parent asking, well, how'd you even get the money to do that? And then you see, and then it comes over here, and then they find me, and then I say, oh, and then they're like, oh, well, who brought you guys in here? Oh, and then you guys know what liability is? Like when you're held liable for something? So like I started a general contracting company a few weeks ago, and if I don't want to personally be held accountable, if somebody sues me and they can come after my personal assets, as they call it, I create an entity, an LLC. I get insurance under the LLC, and if they come after me, if they sue me, they can sue the company and take what the company owns, but they can't take anything that I own, which is a protection, right? So liability is where a dynamic or situation happens where an organization can be held accountable, and then what? They can be sued, right? They can be shut down. They could be all kinds of things. So there's all these policies, even like with Midland College, restaurants, right? If you're a consumer at a restaurant, can you go back in the kitchen and cook up your own food? No, why? Because there's liability. If you get hurt, guess what? They can be sued, right? So there's all these policies, these laws that exist for us so that people are protected and so that we're guarded ourselves. Do you think then it's important that I don't give you money as a teen so that you don't be influenced to go do, right? Do you think that's important? Yeah. But I'm in what they call like a power dynamic. Because of the situation, not that I have authority over you guys, but I can be looked at as having authority. And so you're saying, you could easily say, well, he gave it to me. He's the teacher. It should be fine, right? But it wasn't under consent, right? It could cause more problems in a sense, I would say, right? So how do we keep learning, I guess, incentivize so that you pay attention, you take notes? What else can we do? Now, here's what I've been told. You can receive gifts, meaning gift cards, literal gifts. We can create partner programs with restaurants, shoe companies, the Synergy, things like that. So we can give out movie tickets, we can give out shoes, we can give out, right? So the goal for me is to create good habits. Like I talked about it when I was here 2 weeks ago. I don't like passive learning. I don't like to be passive in life. I had to tell my daughter this a couple weeks ago. We were having a hard conversation, and I had to say, well, I'm not a passive parent. I'm an active parent. I'm going to be nosy. I'm going to be in your life. I'm going to tell you what you should not do. I'm going to give you suggestions. I'm going to try to make you a better person, right? So the same thing with you guys coming in here. I'll be transparent with you guys. I told Carl, if you're looking for a warm body, I'm not that guy. I'm very active. I'm very creative. I like to grow and expand. I don't like to just show up. So the same thing with you guys. And I'll, in a sense, hold even the adults in the room accountable too. Like, I want active learning. I don't want passive learning. But it's got to make sense to you, because why would it matter to you? You're probably just thinking, I just got to get through this program. Why would I want to be engaged? Just say what you got to say and let me check box it, and then I'm done, right? But I would hope that at the end of those 12 weeks, or the end of whatever you guys are obligated to do, that you would walk away with something. You don't have to remember my name. You don't have to remember anybody's name. You don't have to remember the program. But if you walked away with something, then for us, as an organization, as a larger company, then we have what they call metrics. We can say, well, this program is working. Versus, well, they're showing up and it feels good. Well, on the other side of that, do you think your actions impact me? You think your actions impact me? Do you think my actions impact you? Yeah, I gave you some money that you could go buy drugs. I can definitely impact you, right? Do you think you, in a larger community, what you do impacts the people around you? Yep. So I had to learn this the hard way. There's some situations that happen where my life crossed paths with somebody else's life, and now that family is affected by the actions that I took. And now their costs went up, my costs went up, and now we have to all, like you guys know, are aware of taxes, right? For whatever reason, we all have to pay taxes. When there's high crime rates, we pay more taxes. If you run a stop sign, you hit somebody, somebody's paying for it. We have to increase, police presence, things like that. If there's something going on at the mall, there's too many people, there, or too many young adults there, things like that, like the Miami deal that happened a couple of years ago, and all these cops showed up. You don't think somebody's paying for that? Who's paying for that? We're paying for that, right? So if crime goes down, then we pay less taxes, and it affects the city. Same thing with, you guys know what truancy is? Like when you're truant in school? A little bit. It's sort of like, again, they have policies. They have obligations for you to show up. Like, it needs to look like this in order for them to receive money from the state. And if the student isn't doing what they're supposed to be doing, whether it's being present, passing tests, things like that, then there's this truant label that they put on you, and then the state doesn't give them as much money as possible, or as much money as they could, because you have all these kids that are truant, okay? Well, so let's just say it's 20%, right? If we decrease that, if we decrease that by like 2%, Midland ISD would get 1.2 million or something like that more dollars. Do you think it's important that our schools have money? For sure. You see, what school do you? I can't say it. The schools that I went to, like it's been I don't know how long, and we're finally doing new schools. I saw that they barely broke ground yesterday, I think, for Legacy, right? And even then, they said it's going to be 3 years before it's ready. I'm like, 3 more years? Costco got done in 30 days, man. Let's run 24-hour shifts, baby. Like, come on, get that school done in a year, right? So does money impact our school programs? For sure. Have you seen the prints for these new schools? Dude, are you going to be able to go to it, or you'll be out of school? You'll be out? Will you be out? You'll be going to it then, probably? In 2028? Will you still be in school? You'll be gone? Maybe? Man, my son will be able to take advantage of it, but dude, do you think it matters, like, your environment? For sure. I don't know how you guys grew up or things like that, but I would love to have gone to an, what do they call it, up-to-date or modern school where it doesn't feel so old, doesn't feel so janky, stuff like that, things falling apart. Or sometimes I think with even our schools now, I don't know if the security systems work, things like that, but these new schools that they're going to have, dude, I can't wait. Do you guys know about that Midland Athletic Syndicate that's getting built by HEB over there off the loop? Indoor soccer, indoor basketball, volleyball, and then it's going to have a track on top, like, for sure. Do you think that impacts us? Yeah, definitely. If we have high, and this happens all over the country, if we have high crime rates, do you think people want to invest in that community? Definitely not, right? So our actions, I had to learn the hard way, it does affect the people around us, right? And if we understand why policies exist, why it's important that I don't transact with you guys and give you money, because it can affect all of us. It didn't only affect me. I don't know what happened at the end, I'm going to be honest with you, and it was very, I don't want to say immature, but I should have thought more about it. Because I don't know if you guys, or those particular students, you weren't here, but I gave probably like $80, $90 out 2 weeks ago when I was here. I was asking questions about the speaker, and if they answered it, I was giving money out. If they answered a complex question, I was giving $20 out. Some of these students, I got their Cash App and sent them Cash App. I don't know what they did with it. I don't know if it started a fight with their parents. Hey, where'd you get this money from? Or if they went to go buy something and then that started a bigger problem. I have no idea. And that's not okay. I just washed my hands of it, thinking I did something good. It affected the people working for that organization. It affected this organization, meaning I had to call, quote unquote, my boss. I had to have a conversation with Matt. I had a conversation with other people. That one small act that I thought I was doing something good, it brought all these people together that said, oh man, we can't do that. And here's why. Now, if something did happen and it got worse, the situation got worse, a lawsuit could have been, it's still open. I'm just going to say it. It's still open, meaning a parent could still be upset, right? Do you guys know what statute of limitations are? It's like once something happens, you have a certain amount of time to either report it, file suit for it, things like that, right? So I don't know what happened. Now I'm feeling bad. I'm like, I hope nothing happened. I hope those students didn't go and do something that they weren't supposed to. I hope it didn't cause fights with them and their parents, because that was not the intention. That was not my motive. My motive was to incentivize. So what do you guys think? The way I'm thinking is we can tally points. If you show up early, you get a point, or 2 points. If you show up on time, you get a point. If you take notes, you get a point. If you answer the right question, 2 points. If you answer a complicated question, 2 points. If you help clean up, 2 points, things like that. And then you can redeem those points, so those are dollars. You can redeem those points for a gift card, a Synergy tickets, shoes. Like, I'm going to go talk. Do you guys know the Concrete Gallery in the mall? That guy? I know the owner, so I'm going to go talk to him and see if he's willing to give some of those high-end shoes away, like at the end of the 12 weeks or something. I know people in retail, like you guys know the Buckle store? That executive, he's over probably 100 employees or something, in 6 different states. He's my mentor. I'm going to ask him if he's willing to give away, some clothes, stuff like that. Is there anything else that you guys would be willing to be like, you know what, I'll work for that, or I'll participate for that? It could be anything. Scooter. I mean, I don't know. Of course, they can't be like thousands of, something. Oh, golf? Okay. So like maybe a gift card to the golf course or something? Is golf expensive? How much is golf, a round of golf? Yeah, that's what I've heard. All right. Maybe some golf balls. Something. All right. Yeah, but like, okay. That's not bad. Maybe like a golf club cover. Something like that. Okay. What else? You guys into games? Video games? No. Stuffed animals? Oh, so you want this? You want this guy? Yeah, here you go. You can have it. Here you go. Something told me to bring that. My son's really into Ninja Turtles. Anyway, that's the way he likes it. What else? What else do you guys think? Or how do you think we can still continue this dynamic of incentivizing learning and making learning fun again? Oh, Starbucks. Yeah, there you go. Dang, who goes to Starbucks? You go to Starbucks? Starbucks? You do? You like a chilled or hot? Chilled? Okay. What do you get? Random. I tell myself I'm going to get something different every time I go, and I get a white chocolate mocha every time I go. Do you know that they sell what they call a short? It's not on the menu, and they won't tell you it's on the menu. It's like a little bitty cup like this, because I think it's too expensive. It used to be like $3.25 or something. Now it's probably $4 something. But it's like this small. They double cup it because it's too hot, but it's the small cup. If you go up there, they'll give it to you, but it's not on the menu. You got to say, I need a short. Anyway. Usually I'm drinking black coffee, though. Anyway. What else? Socks? I don't know. It's like Christmas. You give you socks and underwear.
What about
Gift cards? Yeah. I mean, earlier I was at the store and I saw like a Spotify gift card, $10 Spotify gift card. Do you guys listen to music? What do you listen to it on? SoundCloud? Dude, SoundCloud is, Buzz? Spotify? Somebody was using Pandora the other day. I haven't heard of Pandora in I don't know how long. I was like, what? That's very old. And they were young. Anyway. YouTube music. I don't really like YouTube music. I'd rather do SoundCloud and, Apple. I do Apple. What else? You guys play games on your phone? Now, here's the thing. Whatever we choose, I'm going to call it something. We're going to call it the whatever program. And it's going to be named whatever you want it to be named. Like for you guys, I mean, it's only 3 of you. But we're going to carry this for the next 12 weeks. So even if you're gone, or after that, so even while you're gone, it's going to be named, I don't know, Burger 456, whatever name you want it. And you'll be, memorialized, as they say. Like, who came up with that name? Like, man, there's this kid, he came in here. This is the first day. Yep, and the first week, yes, sir. It's 12 weeks. One Thursday. Yes, sir, just Thursdays. 12 weeks. So there's overlap. Like if this is your first one, it may be somebody's 6th one in here. Does that make sense? But we want to carry it throughout the year. So what we uncovered today, and we got like 5 minutes, we're going to implement it, as they say, and it's going to be named after whatever name you guys want. Because I want to honor it. Like you guys participated. Again, it's like, what does it matter? Do you think it matters that you guys vote? You think it matters? Yeah. Do the people around you vote? Like the adults around you? You see what's going on politically, right? It's crazy right now, right? And a lot of that had to do with voting. You saw what happened locally with certain bonds and stuff like that when certain people got behind it and they said no to a certain bond. You think that made an impact to the community? Yeah, definitely. So I can understand where you may think your voice doesn't matter, or like it doesn't carry what they say carry weight, or it's not going to impact, but it does, and that's what this is what they call a microcosm of this. Like, I wanted to give you guys, in a sense, on a small scale, to have a voice, but to vote on something, and then you see it what they call fleshed out, carried out over the year, and be like, oh yeah, I had a part to do with that. That program is called that because I said that, things like that. And that's what I like. That's what I call active learning, where it's not just me talking at you. First off, you guys are talked at all year round. People are talking at you. I want just to keep you involved, because the community we live in, it takes involvement. Somebody's cleaning the streets. Somebody's showing up when there's crime going on, stuff like that. The hospitals, whatever aspect you want, your teachers, volunteers, nonprofits, like, people are showing up to be able to make this community run. This right here, you think it runs on its own? I don't know who's paying the bills. I don't know who makes sure the lights are here. I don't know. Matt showing up with his camera, stuff like that, like, to be able to continue the program, that takes a lot of work. The website, all the things. There's all kinds of stuff that makes sure that this happens. And that you think that matters to you guys? What's the alternative? We can't talk about those things, but what's the alternative, right? Would it rather be this, or would you rather it be something else? So there's been adults behind the scenes trying to create a program so that you could take advantage of it, so it doesn't look a certain way. I'm talking vague on purpose because we need to. Does that make sense? And that happens all over the city. There's people going on. Do you know there's a leadership program where citizens of Midland come together and they talk about what's going to happen over the next 25 years? All these new like Costco, you think that just happened? No, somebody advocated for that. You guys follow this Facebook page called Maybe in Midland, Odessa? Yeah, do you know that those types of companies would not come to the Permian because they labeled us as what they would call like a B market? This is why we couldn't get famous musicians to come out here before, because we were like what they considered a B market. Like, they wouldn't make so much money out there. Do you guys know who that Mexican OT is? Do you see he's coming to the tailgate? That somebody advocated for that. The baby came, right? 2 Chainz came. Who? Kevin Gates is coming to the La Hacienda. Do what? Soulja Boy. Oh yeah, to the tailgate. Oh yeah. Damn, you tapped in, man. Sweet. Yeah. Yeah. So there's all kinds of things going on where people are advocating for the city of Midland to make sure that those types of organizations, celebrities, stuff like that, make it a point to show up here. You know that Mexican OT went on a podcast run, and they asked him, well, where's your largest crowd? Do you know what he said? Midland. For 6 months, podcast after podcast after podcast, Midland. His biggest crowd, traveling all over the country, was in Midland. That matters. But now if people look over there and they're like, and they see other stuff happening that's a negative look on us, you think they want to come out here? You think those people want to come out here if it's unsafe, or there's all kinds of stuff going on? Definitely not, right? All that to say, my life does affect your life, and your life does affect mine. And what happened 2 weeks ago when I was giving you money was a prime example of that. And I want to apologize, 1. 2, I take accountability. I was unaware. But I'll take responsibility and say, okay, well, how do we change it? But how do we keep it? And then how do we keep the community fun and safe and active for you guys and what you're growing up in, right? Do you have little brothers and sisters? Yeah. Do you want it to be safe for them? Do you ever go to a park and you don't know who's there, and you're just watching over them to make sure nothing does happen to them? I had a 5-year-old, right? That matters, right? There's certain websites you can come on where certain people live, stuff like that, to make sure you maybe don't pass by those houses, or maybe you see the faces so you know if you see them in public, stuff like that. It matters. Like, I don't have to know your story to know that danger is real, for 1. Anytime you step out, something can happen. Anything can happen. So if somebody is careless, that was the word I was looking for. I was careless a couple weeks ago. Somebody is careless and just thinks about themselves, it can definitely impact the people around them negatively. If I don't put a seatbelt on my son, and I'm just like, he'll be all right, and then we hit somebody, because sometimes he likes to sit in the front. I'm sorry, I'm maybe a bad parent, but I'll put him in the front. But I'm like, put your seatbelt on, right? But that could affect him, and then it affects everybody else. Then we have to have that's why they say you can't put your 5-year-old in the front seat. Something happened along the way where, in a sense, it affected everybody. So like, you got to put him in the back, and you got to put him in a booster, and you got to do, right? all these things. Awesome. Well, that's it. Thank you, guys. Is there any names you want? If you had to name the program that allowed you to redeem the gifts, what would you name it? Give me 3, since there's 3 of you. Make it up. I don't care. Okay. Well, an active means certain other things too, so it's a good thing. All right. So what, like active what? Gotta have a second adjective, maybe. Active coins. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like digital currency. That's the other thing I want to get you guys used to. We're growing up in a digital world. You guys know about Bitcoin, stuff like that? That stuff is real, right? So a lot of people are saying cash is going away. We'll see. But, so I don't know, active coins could be one. Active, what else? I don't think points. I don't like points. Give me a funny one. You have ChatGPT? Do y'all have ChatGPT, anybody? You have ChatGPT on your phone? It's 6:30. Sorry, guys, we're out. What about the turtle? We'll call it turtle shells. It's kind of, anyway. Say I'm trying to create a name for a digital coin. Give me some, in a sense, right? I'm creating a digital coin. Give me some weird, funny names. It'll do it in 30 seconds. I'll do it with you. Watch. Hey, chat, period. I am creating a digital coin and need funny, off-the-wall type of names. Give me 3, period. 6:31, sorry, guys. Clout coin. Shmoney token. That's funny. Shmoney token. And then oopsie daisy, whatever that is. I like the shmoney token. What do y'all guys think about that? Shmoney token. Clout coin, that's kind of, eh. Shmoney token, active coins, or turtle shells? I'm going to give you guys a voting voice right now. Active coins, turtle shells, or shmoney tokens? You got to vote. Raise your hand. Active coins, raise your hand. Shmoney tokens, raise your hand. I like shmoney tokens. All right, there it is. Okay. Boom. We're going to call them shmoney tokens. Thank you, guys. Anybody want this guy? You got a little brother? All right.